So if you're here today, this may be you. Maybe your business is growing, but you still don't have any money. And maybe you feel like the most overworked and underpaid employee in your own business. And you're constantly stressed about making payroll. I know payroll is a huge burden. I shouldn't say a burden, a huge stressor, just because it is a large expense and you're trying to make that expense and take care of your team every week or 2 weeks. And you're wondering how to create a successful business while having the profit, time, and freedom you want. That's why we started a business, right? We wanted to have flexibility, we wanted to have freedom, we wanted to have financial freedom, time freedom, and yet you're now working longer, harder, and possibly for less money than when you were an employee yourself. So, if you're new to us, we are Matterhorn Business Development. We help small business owners increase their profit, reclaim their time, and build businesses that run without them. Our goal is to get you more time, freedom, and more doing what you love to do. If you don't know me, just really quick rundown. My name's Abby Johnson. I'm the CEO here at Matterhorn. I started working with my father, who I founded this company with. I started working with him at the age of 16 after I graduated high school. I took over the finance area of one of his multi-million dollar companies at the age of 21, not due to nepotism, but due to actually proving myself and working my way up through the company. While I was there, I ran various projects and learned about the different areas of the business. So the projects I was running impacted the company as a whole. So I had to really learn to think like an executive in the way of making decisions that was best for the group as a whole and not just my finance area or not just sales, not just delivery. I had to look at the picture as a whole. My dad and I founded this company in 2017, and I apprenticed under him for hundreds of hours on client calls. I've worked with over actually 50 different industries at this point. I'm a certified profit first professional, and the systems that I'm talking about today have generated over $1 billion for clients. So, my goal is to help you increase your profit and have less stress and have more fun. This is one of my clients, Eric, who I still work with today. You can see where he was when he started with us. And after just 8 months, he saw 127% growth. And the beauty of what we did with him was while he was growing, we were able to put in the profitable systems that I'm going to be talking to you about today to ensure that he was able to pay himself and sustain this business. Since working together, he's bought one or two more work trucks. He's taken his family to Disney. He went from renting a home to buying his own home, and he has been able to achieve all of that by having a growing and profitable business. This is another a B2B client that I had. She saw a 143% increase while working with us. So you can see she was able to pay herself, but she was negative cash flow when she came to us. And in just 6 months, this was the increase that she saw: positive cash flow, positive profit in her bank. These are just some of the industries that I have worked with. Like I said, it's over 50 now. And the point of showing you this is just that what I'm talking about today is business basics. I'm not here to tell you how to be a better dentist, how to be a better lawyer, how to be a better construction person, or whatever it may be. Which, by the way, while we are on this slide, if you could put in the chat for those of you live, put your industry. I love knowing who's here so I can use some real examples for your industry throughout the presentation. So let me know what industry you're in. Let me just pull up the chat so I can see. I see a dentist. Very nice. I have a lot of experience in dentistry. Metal, nice. That's interesting. So manufacturing, dentistry, I think um, all of that. I'm not here to tell you how to do those things better, right? I don't know much about metal, to be honest. So, but what I am here to talk about is your business and how to be profitable in your business. And the principles we're talking about apply to all of these industries and yours. So, how do we actually solve these problems that I said at the beginning? Feeling like you are an underpaid employee in your own business, not knowing where your money is going. How do we actually solve this? Most people think they just need more revenue or more leads, and all of their problems would be solved. They're just chasing that next dollar, that next sale. Once I land this big client, once I close this big sale, once I get X amount of new patients, all of my problems will be solved. But here's what ends up happening for most people is as their income grows, their expenses start to grow at the same rate. When really this is what we want to see. We want to see the income growing and expenses will grow up. As your business grows, you may need to hire more. You may need to expand the space that you're in, which requires more rent. Your insurance and your workers' comp might go up. Whatever it may be, yes, expenses are going to increase, but it should not look like this. It should look like this as to where you are able to still have a healthy profit margin. So, many studies have shown that at least one third of businesses will not survive their first 2 years. Half will fail in the first 5 years, and only one third will still be in business after 10 years. And I don't show you these numbers to upset you or make you think that you can't do this. I just show you this because business is hard, and there is a reason why only 30 out of every 100 new businesses last over 10 years. That's a wild statistic. So first of all, if you are past any of these milestones, if you're past 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, congratulations and well done. But there is a reason why most of these businesses don't make it. They have now, depending on your industry, you may have a different rate of survival. So, for example, the restaurant industry is known to be a tough industry, thin margins, a lot of turnovers. I'm sure you can think of in your local town, that building that's been like 10 different restaurants and just hasn't made it yet. So, it may vary per industry, but there is a US Bank study that reveals that 80% of the businesses that fail with this one thing in common: cash flow problems. They are not able to manage their cash in a profitable way that actually sustains the business. So many businesses have cash flow challenges, paying taxes on time, making payroll regularly, no profit, not able to budget, and sometimes even the owner making less than other employees or making less than if they worked for someone else. In dentistry, I see this a lot where sometimes the dentist is the one doing the hygiene to save that money, even though they could pay someone less than what they are worth to do that job. Or maybe I've even seen it in a struggling practice where the hygienist was technically making more than the dental practice owner because the dental practice owner couldn't afford to pay themselves. So, unfortunately, it is a common situation I see in different industries. So the first step is understanding the basics. So once you actually understand the basics of something, you now have better control over it. So my personal theory as to why people have so many cash flow problems is because we didn't start a business because we're an accountant or bookkeeper or love numbers. I am a rare breed in in that I do like numbers and spreadsheets and all of those things, but I know that is not for everyone. That is not why a window washer started washing windows, is because he was super excited to do his own bookkeeping and look at his P&L every month. So the first step is understanding this aspect of your business that you may not have a grasp on. And that does not mean that you are dumb or incompetent or anything. It's just not where your expertise lies. So what I want to do right now is just break down some basic financial business terms just so that we have that basic understanding in place. I could go super deep on this, but I'm not going to. This whole webinar isn't just understanding financial statements, but I do want to take the next few minutes to clear up any misunderstandings in this area. So, first of all, we all know our profit and loss, the dreaded profit and loss. It really should be called profit or loss because that's what it is it shows you have you profited or have you been operating at a loss. So on your P&L, you've got these different categories. You've got your income. So this is your total money received. Now there are different ways to view your P&L. You might be viewing it to where it's counting your income based on number of invoices sent out. Um, or it's going to be basing your income based on cash received. So first you need to know which one of those you are looking at when you're looking at your QuickBooks or whatever your accounting software is. After income, you have your cost of goods sold. So, someone like Abraham, if you are manufacturing, you might have materials costs or something like that. That is going to go in this category. In dentistry, this may be your lab costs and those sorts of things. In something like I have a large engine mechanic client, so he's got parts, and that is a major part of his finances that has its own section on the P&L. Then you've got your other expenses. So this is what it costs to run the business. The cost of goods sold is what it takes to deliver on the product. Not every business has that cost of goods sold. So for example, I am a virtual business, it's a service business. I don't have any hard costs when it comes to delivering my product, which is a service. Um, so if you have those cost of goods, all of your other expenses fall into this other expense category. So this is everything else outside of hard costs, your rent, your staff, your marketing, insurance, workman's comp, uh, all those other little lovely costs that add up all go into this expense category. And then at the end of the day, we have net profit. So that is what is left after all these expenses occur. So some people get gross profit and net profit mixed up. Gross profit is the money that you have made after your cost of goods sold. And I will show you that here in this example. So this is just a fake P&L. So let's say this business makes $800,000 a year and their cost of goods sold was $150,000. So their materials or parts or whatever it was to deliver their service or product was $150,000. There is a line missing here, actually. Normally, there's a line that says gross profit, which in this case would be $650,000. So that's where a lot of business owners go wrong is they're saying, well, I'm definitely profiting on this deal because I'm making $650,000 gross profit, but then they don't factor in all of these other expenses. So in this fake scenario, all these other expenses, software, advertising, rent, wages, payroll taxes, all of that fun stuff adds up to $458,000. And what is left over, the net profit, is $191,000. And this is why we're here today, because everyone's looking at this. And if your P&L looks anything similar to this, you're looking at this, your accountant's saying, well done, you were profitable, pat on the back, $190,000. And you're looking at them like they're crazy because that $191,000 is not in your bank account. Why is this not in your bank account? You're thinking, so where's my money? So here's the problem with a profit and loss and why it is not the end all be all, and it should not be the only thing that you're looking at when it comes to your business's finances. There is another report that I'm not even going to get into today, but that report very simply is your balance sheet, and that is where a different sort of expense is recorded. It's not even recorded or show up on your profit and loss, but your balance sheet shows your assets and your liabilities. So if you have asset purchases, maybe you bought a big piece of machinery or a truck or something like that, it's going to show up on your balance sheet instead of here on your profit and loss. Also, it has your liabilities. So this is money that you owe. So if you have an SBA loan that you took out to start the business or any other loan, line of credit, credit card, any sort of debt, any sort of payable like that, it's showing up over on your balance sheet. And any payments you're making on those liabilities show up on the balance sheet and not your profit and loss. So when you're seeing this number, $190,000, it's not factoring in these other things. It's not giving you a complete picture. It also doesn't factor in your personal owner distribution. So let's say in this scenario, I see this a lot when I'm doing my assessments for people. Let's say in this scenario, the owner took $100,000 in distributions throughout the year. Then they bought a $50,000 piece of equipment, and then they made $50,000 in loan payments. So that's $200,000, 200,000 cash out of the bank. So really they're at a negative profit. If you're looking at it that way, they have negative cash. They have less cash than they did last year, or their bank account went negative at some point, or whatever it may be. And your profit and loss is not factoring in those numbers. So that is the first thing to understand is your profit and loss is not representative of cash moving in your business. It's a tool used to file your taxes. And this is how you get taxed on is on this number here at the bottom. So, how can we actually truly understand where our cash is going, budget easily, pay ourselves consistently, and guarantee profit in the business without needing an accounting degree, without me having to babble on about accounting, finance, jargon nonsense? How do we do this? It's all through the system, Profit First. So, this is a book, if you have not heard of it, called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. There are now, gosh, I don't know the updated number, but it's definitely over 500,000 businesses. I think in the US alone using this, it's probably up to 1 million businesses now because it's been a few years since I've had that updated number. But I am a profit first professional. I have worked with Mike Michalowicz personally and with his team to understand this system inside and out and be able to apply it to all of these different industries that I mentioned before. So the way that this system works is it takes this basic accounting formula that we just went over, which is your sales minus your expenses equals your profit. This is that general accounting formula we just talked about, but it is a broken, flawed formula for the reason I just showed you. Not only because your actual P&L is hiding things and not showing you the actual cash leaving your business. But when you have this system in place, what ends up happening is your money comes in, you spend it, and then you're just crossing your fingers and hoping at the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year that you have profit that you can take for yourself or expand or whatever you want to do with that profit. So, what Profit First does is we flip this formula. So, we take sales minus profit, we set the profit aside, and we have expenses and we run the business on what's left over. So, the new formula is sales minus profit equals expenses. over 28 million small businesses in the US are break even, and all of them are operating on the formula of sales minus expenses equals profit. And these accounting principles only focus on the numbers and they ignore the human behavior behind those numbers. I have talked to accountants who don't like this system because in their mind, they just think, why can't you just look at your P&L and L and your balance sheet and your cash flow statement, et cetera, et cetera? They don't understand why the average business owner can't just look at these reports and get the picture. But the average business owner does not have a degree in accounting and they may not even have an aptitude for numbers, which is okay. So these formulas are for people filing taxes and they just ignore the everyday human behavior that happens around finances. Paying your bills first usually leads to spending all of the money on essentials. When you see the amount of money that's in your bank account and you are making decisions based off of that, it makes it look like you have a lot more money and that you can afford more than you actually can afford. So then you think, oh, well, I do have some left over, so I can spend it on this, or this would be nice to have. And oh, we definitely need this thing too, and you end up actually spending all of that money and not having enough for the other necessities in your business. So there's something called Parkin's Law, and this is a law that states our demand upon a resource tends to expand to match the supply of that resource. So if you have a lot of something, then the demand for it usually increases to meet what you have. So there is this analogy here of a toothpaste tube. So have you ever had a fresh tube of toothpaste and you take it out and you just squeeze a big glob on your toothbrush, brush your teeth. Maybe the glob even falls in the sink and you're like, "Oh, whatever, that's okay." So you squeeze some more on your toothpaste, right? But then when your tube starts to look like this, you start the resource, the supply has shrunk and you are squeezing it. You're trying to get every last bit of toothpaste out of that toothpaste tube, right? So when you have an abundance of toothpaste, you don't really care how much of it you're using because you know you have plenty of it there. And it's only when it becomes scarce that you start to really pay attention and use it very thoughtfully and carefully. This happened, I always think of 2020 COVID lockdowns when everyone panicked about uh, toilet paper and they went out and they bought a ton of toilet paper and there's a toilet paper shortage. I still never understood why that happened. That was not my first thought when I was told I was going to have to stay home for weeks. Um, but then once they knew I might not be able to buy toilet paper for 6 weeks, you probably started thinking about how much toilet paper you were using when you went to the bathroom. You were maybe started counting the number of squares because you knew you had a limited amount of it. This also applies to something like time, which a little time hack for you. If you give yourself an hour to complete a task, you are probably going to use that hour to complete the task. You have a resource of an hour and your demand for that resource is going to be an hour. Now, have you ever tried to do that same task in 30 minutes? You're running late, you got to go pick up your kids, or you got interrupted in the middle of something, and now you only have 30 minutes to do something that normally took you an hour. You figure out how to do it. And now your demand has matched the resource of 30 minutes. So this law can be applied to different areas of life. So while we know that we should read our P&L and our balance sheets regularly, conduct a financial analysis, reconcile our checkbooks, we don't. We just check our bank balance online constantly. I mean, how many times have you opened your banking app this week alone? whether that's personal or business. That's how you know where you stand. You're not opening QuickBooks, especially because your QuickBooks probably isn't up to date. Maybe it's reconciled through the end of May. Some people are still behind, right? So we don't look at our P&L from April to make decisions on June 25th. We're looking at our bank account. And Parkinson's law dictates that as deposits increase, so does our spending, and vice versa. So, using this law and that thought process, as your revenue increases, as you see more money in that bank account, your spending increases because it's just human behavior. You see it there and you find ways to spend it. And then once it decreases and oh, I only have $20,000 in my account and payroll is $19,000, that's when you start actually thinking about your expenses and what you're spending money on. So, the thing with profit first is we are going to take your natural behavior and we're going of checking your bank balance all the time, and that is going to become your biggest asset instead of your biggest curse. So the solution is to take your profit first always. Parkinson's law becomes a powerful ally when you take your profit first and you are forced to grow your business off the remainder. In the past, profit was left over. That was all that you got was whatever was left over. But now expenses are forced to adjust to what remains after profit has been taken out. And now bank balance accounting of checking your bank account becomes a highly effective method of managing your finances, and it actually becomes accurate. Historically, this method has been the greatest savings mechanism in US history, the 401k, right? You've got a paycheck and your profit from your paycheck is hidden from you. It gets taken away and you have to figure out how to live your life on what is left over of that paycheck. So profit is not an event. Profit is a habit. So, the way that we instill this habit and make sure that you have an actual system in place to execute on what I'm talking about is we're going to have a series of bank accounts. The first bank account is the income account. So, all of your deposits are going to go into their own account called the income account. When deposits are coming into the same bank account that you are spending your money from, it's hard to see what you can actually spend. Great, someone finally paid off that $50,000 invoice. Now I can turn around and go buy a new truck with it, right? That's maybe an extreme example, but that's what happens. So we're going to put income in its own account and from there, allocate it by percentage to the other following accounts. The first account we allocate to is profit, right? Profit first. So you're going to have a bank account specifically called profit. And the purpose of this account is at the end of the quarter, every quarter, you're going to take half of what is that in that account and you're going to take it as a distribution, a bonus for yourself, the owner. This is how you are rewarded for the hard work and the time that you're putting in. If you have debt, then this is going to go towards the debt. This is how you tackle debt and pay it down faster than just paying those monthly minimums. I see people who are panicked about debt and they just are throwing cash at it willy-nilly, just, ooh, I got a big check in, I'm gonna go throw it down towards debt. And then they're strapped for cash because they're so panicked about paying down the debt. So this is a way to have a calculated system in place to where, yes, we can pay down the debt faster, but not at the expense of not being able to pay any of your other bills. And then by leaving half of the funds in the profit account, you are also building a reserve for your business. The next account that's allocated to you is the owner's pay account. So this is how we ensure that you are paid consistently, you are paid on time, even in slow times or slow weeks, your personal salary is still covered. This is also how we get some consistency. Let's say you're not on salary and you just kind of take distributions here and there when bills are due. This is how you can easily get on a schedule. and pay yourself the same way, the same time, all the time. So you know for your personal expenses what money you're going to be receiving. This also tells us, can the business afford to give you a raise? Or maybe you've been taking too much money and you need to rein it in a little bit. The next account is the tax account. This is to cover your personal income taxes as the owner of the business. We all know we should be setting aside for taxes, but most people are not. So that is built into the system to ensure that when April 15th comes around, you don't want to throw up when you see your tax bill because the money is already sitting right there. And then finally, the last account that's allocated to is the operating expenses account. So this is how you run the business on what's left over. This is after all of these are all really profit accounts. After they are allocated to, then you can see, okay, this is what I actually have to spend. So maybe you had $100,000 up here and then after all the different allocations, now your operating expense actually has $70,000 in it. So instead of you looking at one account thinking, great, I've got $100,000 I can spend, now you're looking at, okay, I actually only have $70,000 to spend. How am I going to budget? How am I going to allocate this to the different resources in the business? And as I was saying, you run the business on what's left over, and this is how you promote efficiency and innovation. So let's say you really wanted to buy a new vehicle and you definitely need it because of the expansion that you're experiencing. But when you do those allocations and you have $70,000 and maybe payroll is $40,000 and other bills happen and you've only got 20 grand left or something. So now you start looking at, instead of buying a new Ford F-150 brand new off the lot, you start looking at, okay, what can I buy used? What sort of deal can I get? I have no idea how much a truck actually costs, so my numbers probably didn't match up there. But you get the point. You start to actually think about that spending decision instead of just making a knee-jerk reaction of, well, I got to go buy a new truck, so I'm just going to go to the Ford lot and pick one up and we're all good. So the percentages that are going into each of these categories are customized for each business. One of the terms that you do need to understand to determine your percentages is something that we call real revenue in the profit first world. So this is when you have your income. And if you have materials and subcontractors as part of your business model, you subtract that off the top, and that's how you get your real revenue number. And that's what we assess your business based off of. So, for example, my large engine mechanic client, his parts are 40% of his revenue. So we take, if he had $1 million business, then $400,000 is already accounted for. That's already going towards parts. So we have to look at his business as if it was a $600,000 business and what percentages should be being allocated based on that 600,000. Once you've got that number, then there are these different tiers for your percentages. So I have a column highlighted, but let's use my example I just gave of $600,000 of real revenue. That tells us that he should be putting 15% into the profit account, 20% into owner's pay, 15% tax, 50% operating expenses. And you will see the operating expenses goes up as a business goes up in revenue. And that is because likely you need to hire employees. At the beginning, owner's pay is pretty high because the owner is usually the one doing all of the work. They are the number one employee. They're usually doing all the delivery. Maybe they're the only employee. And then as the business grows, the owner is able to delegate and step back. So their salary may go down in percentage, but their profit number is going up. And they now have staff and operating expenses that are doing tasks and things for them. So, the other aspect of this is it's very important to have a rhythm. It's not just, oh, today I feel like doing allocations and seeing what's in my income account. You have to do it at the same time and you have to make that agreement with yourself. Some people do this weekly. In the book, Mike Michalowicz suggests twice a month, the 10th and the 25th. So this is so that if you do your allocations on those days, it's already in the accounts for bills coming out middle of the month and beginning of the month. Then you take your quarterly profit distributions and pay your quarterly tax estimates if you are making tax estimates. And then quarterly, you can make adjustments to those percentages. So, with these percentages I showed, it's not expected that starting tomorrow, you're just going to go start doing these percentages right away. We are going to have to work up to them and adjust things on a quarterly basis to achieve these percentages. So, just to recap, with Profit First, you're going to have consistent owner's pay. Your taxes are going to be paid on time, and you're going to have total cash management control. But without Profit First, right now, you're probably experiencing inconsistent pay, behind on taxes, and being constantly stressed about money. But here's the thing is Profit First is just one piece of the puzzle. My clients have had huge wins just with Profit First, but it usually uncovers other holes in the business. When I'm doing an assessment, a Profit First assessment on someone's business, it usually shines a light on other issues in the business. So I've had different results for this. Sometimes it's, hey, the issue here is your rent is actually way too high for the revenue you're doing. So you either need to find a cheaper place to move to, or we need to increase revenue rapidly right away. Or maybe, hey, your payroll is way too high. So either you're overpaying people, you need to fire someone, let someone go, or your employees are inefficient and we need to figure out the systems to put in place so that they can get more done in their allotted work time. So, this is what I mean in uncovering other holes. It's going to show the gaps where money is falling through the cracks. And if you want to have a profitable money making machine that runs without you, you need a full operating system. So that is why we have the Matterhorn operating system here. At the center of everything we do is profit, and it's not because we are greedy or money is the end all be all, but it's because your business will shut down without profit. How can you help people? How can you help your community if you have to close your doors? Profit is the gas in the business's engine. It's the air in the business's lungs. So that is why everything we do focuses on increasing and maintaining profit. From there, after Profit First or while Profit First is being implemented, we address the four pillars of business basics. So, this is sales, marketing, delivery, and management. And this is where we find those profit constraints I was just mentioning. Maybe marketing is actually draining all of your funds because you've got inefficient marketing, or your sales process is bugged and inefficient, and we need to revamp the sales process to close more business and increase revenue. So you can see we look at these different areas of the business to find out why is it draining profit? Why is it a constraint on the business? Once we've identified that constraint, we can then create a strategy and an action plan on how to actually attack that problem. We're going to set who's responsible for every single action item and and when exactly it's going to get done. So not just, hey, Sally's going to redesign the website. No, Sally's going to redesign the website by the end of next week. So, fast action is how we solve these constraints. And then we need to know, are these actions actually working? Did we pick the right strategy? The way we do this is by monitoring the statistics. This is knowing the other numbers of the business outside of the financials. This is what tells us what is working and what isn't working. Did changing the sales process work? Did adjusting the call to action button on the website bring in more business? We have to track the numbers in order to know this. And then the final piece of this puzzle is team ownership. This is how you actually delegate tasks and responsibility to your employees so that they are off your plate and those members on your team are taking full responsibility for their areas. This is also where we address things like employee retention through positive company culture, creating bonus plans, and other things that motivate your employees to grow a profitable business alongside you. So, the good news is that we can help get all of these pieces implemented in 6 months, and you start seeing the benefits from that from day one. This is for you if you're stuck at 5 to 10% profit margins, you have 5 to 20 staff, but you're still the bottleneck. You're working 50 to 70 or more hours a week and it's not getting better. You want to build something that runs without you being the hero every day, and you're willing to change how you operate, not just work harder. This is not for you if you are pre-revenue, you haven't made any money yet, or you're just looking for a quick hack, a quick get rich scheme. This is not for you if you want to stay the hero and you aren't ready to let go of tasks or responsibilities in your business. And this is not for you if you want results without putting in the work. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, this is what growth looks like for most people, expenses rising as their revenue rises. And now we know why, due to Parkinson's law. When the money is there, they're going to find a way to spend it. So, what growth with Matterhorn looks like is having the profit first plan in place, and you are able to grow with our systems and strategies and have a healthy profit margin as you grow. We use a results tested system to increase your revenue and increase your bottom line. By using our proven operating system, combining profit first with streamlined administration, we help owners achieve more profit while working less. Each piece of the framework is powerful, but combined, you are on the route to true financial freedom. So I could sell you on either one of these pieces, right? Each of these pieces could change your business. Just looking at the 4 pillars alone could have a light bulb moment finally of, wait, the problem is actually our fulfillment and delivery. It's not the sales, or vice versa. Or just starting to monitor statistics, you start to see, wait, anytime X happens, we make a sale. We need to do more of X. These are all powerful things. But when you've got them all working together, that's when you see true profitable growth and freedom happen in your business. This was a dental practice owner client of mine. He saw a 40% profit increase in 6 months. So you can see he was doing all right in the beginning, but we were able to achieve that increase after just a short time of working together. This was my client Victor, and for him, he was very involved in the business in the day to day. And he said that he now has more personal time and peace of mind. He knows that his finances are well organized and that he will get paid without jeopardizing his business. Learning to delegate has not only enhanced my work-life balance, but also boosted my overall well-being. He was able to finally have a vacation, take a break with his family after we got these systems in place. This was my client Justin in lawn care. He had a $3 million business when he came to me doing negative $22,000. The following year, he actually still only did $3 million only in revenue. He didn't grow that year, but he had $250,000 in profit. This was a medical practice owner I worked with, so already making a fair amount of money, but he could have been making more if he had gone to work for someone else. After working together, he saw a 93% increase in profit, so going from 318 to 613. And this is just to show you that we really care. So this was someone who is in our program, and she said, I hugely appreciate how concerned and attentive you have been to check in with me. I don't know very many programs that would personally reach out when seeing that someone has fallen behind. So here are your alternatives. I've now shown you the route out, and you could go hire an operations manager to do all of this for you. But you are looking at probably for a good operations manager at least $75,000 per year. You could go get a full-time CFO to implement profit first and manage every single penny of your business. Maybe they don't implement profit first, but they use their other accounting knowledge and they are spending 40 hours a week managing your money. That's at least 100K per year. Or you could go read more books, consume more free content, go watch some more YouTube videos, read some more books. But the problem with this is it loses time and profit by going through trial and error. You have no guidance on your personal situation from someone with experience when you do this. So, as I said, we could make a program for each one of those pieces of the operating system, plus our one-on-one mentoring. But I don't want you to have to pay for all of that and piece it together. This is why I created our Adventure to Profit Elite program. There's no other program that I know of that installs a real operating system for your business, pairs it with a proven profit system, and then walks alongside you to make sure it gets implemented. So, what is this program? It is 6 months of weekly group mentoring calls. So we have 2 calls a week at this time. On these calls, you can show up, get all of your questions answered, and this is how we guaranteed fast and consistent results. This is how you get individual attention in a group setting. A done for you profit assessment. So I will personally create your assessment and your rollout plan. So I look at your numbers, I dive into your finances, find out those profit leaks, and how exactly we're going to implement profit first for your business. Then we go over that on a one-on-one call, and I can answer all of your questions for your specific business. You get a one-on-one onboarding call with me. This is where we create your personal roadmap and implementation plan so you know exactly what the path is for you during your time in the program. So this is not, even though this is a group program, it is not cookie cutter solutions. You get one-on-one DM access. So in between call times, if you have questions, you have access to me and the team to ask those questions. You get lifetime access to our tools and our courses. So we want you to win always. You learn from our courses, but then the calls help answer any questions when you are going through that material. We have all kinds of templates, spreadsheets, worksheets, so that you actually take action and implement on the things that we are talking about. You get access to a private community. This is where you can connect with business owners who have been and are going through what you are going through. You can connect and get feedback from your peers there. Feedback calls, so you can submit your work, any of those templates, any sort of marketing material, hiring ads, anything like that, you can submit to me, and then I create a recorded video of feedback to send right back to you. If this sounds interesting, I want you to go ahead and book a call to get started. So I will put a link in the chat for that. If you give me a moment. On this call, you'll be able to discuss your specific situation, get any questions that are popping into your head right now, get any of those answered. Um, just getting the right link here. So, just to make sure that we are on the same page, these are our values. If it's not fun, we aren't doing it. So we aren't here to be ultra serious about business, ultra pretentious, use big fancy corporate lingo. We're going to make this fun for you. So if you're not ready to have fun, then you are not in the right place. Even through a stressful situation, I get people who are in some very stressful situations. We're here to make this an enjoyable process, getting you out of that situation. We value hard work. So now we're going to have fun, but it is also going to take hard work. This is not a magic pill that is going to give you an overnight transformation. You're going to need to have dedication and hard work to implement these strategies. If you know us, you win. This is our motto, our slogan. We live or die by this saying, but this means that we are here to ensure that you succeed in this program and in your business. So we are here to go above and beyond to help you win at what you're doing. Furthermore, if you don't see an increase of 20% in profit or more in the 6-month program, we will refund you. And as a bonus for anyone who is coming from this webinar, if you sign up within the next week, you'll get an additional one-on-one call with me that you can use anytime during the program. So, just to recap what you're getting here, 2 weekly group mentoring calls, templates for implementation, lifetime course access, lifetime private community, a one-on-one onboarding call, a one-on-one bonus call, done for you profit assessment, and one-on-one DM access. The total is for that, if I was to sell all of these things individually, would be $28,000. The program is over half. It's less than half. There we go. Less than half that price. But we do need to get on a call with you and talk about your situation. If you have multiple locations, if you need something additional for your specific situation. But this just shows you the value that you are getting for the program that we have created. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, I'm sure I can't afford this. I'm already in a financial crisis. I already don't know where my money is going. But here's the thing is this is the impact that just one strategic decision can have. This is an example. I was going over a client's pricing when I caught a crucial mistake that was being made on his cost of goods sold. This mistake had lost him $84,000 in profit for the year. And this was on a one-on-one session, but I would still be looking over your pricing with you. But just one session together, I found an $84,000 mistake. Luckily, we were able to act quickly and turn that around. But that's the power of just taking the time to look at things from the CEO business owner standpoint and address these issues that you know or maybe don't know are in your business. And again, if you don't see 20% or more increase in profit in 6 months, we refund you. And I want you to look at this. What is waiting to fix this problem really costing you? How much are you bleeding every month? Or how much is it costing you to not know or understand how money is coming in and out of your business? I've tried other programs before and they didn't work for me. So our motto is if you know us, you win. You actually keep more of what you make, or we will refund you, is what that should say. So we are here to actually make sure that you achieve results. And respectfully, most other online programs do not have the care factor that we have or a guarantee like ours because we actually care about you getting results. I don't have time for this. No one has time for this. None of the people who come into the program have time for this. But that's exactly why you need this. We help you reclaim your time by building systems and delegation strategies. So it's a chicken or the egg. You've got to take time to make time. So you've got to take the time to actually implement this and move forward if you're going to ultimately free up your time in the long run. So, if this sounds interesting, if you have questions, book a call today with the either the link in the chat, or if you're on watching the replay, we'll have a book a call button around the video.